Hello, I'm Chris474, and today I'll be trying out a visual novel that I found free on Steam called Connected Hearts. So, let's go ahead and get started. And I think the music's at an alright volume, but we'll see. Unknown place. Well, the faces that I can't identify. Tender smile directed at me. My lips say something that I cannot remember. I only know that it is different from silence. Then my vision gets covered by smoke. Part of me is incinerated. Not my body, but my soul. Something was lost without hope of ever coming back. And yet, I don't have the slightest idea about what it was. I suddenly opened my eyes, completely confused. That strange dream forced me to wake up. I guess you could call it a nightmare, but it still doesn't feel right. It was different. Rather than a bad dream, I felt like I was watching a movie, with characters, a climax, and an ending. However, there wasn't a beginning. Everything came out from nowhere. As if I had just missed the first act of a play. Sadly, just after waking up, I had already forgotten almost all of it. Only my confusion and interrupted sleep are evidence that it ever happened. An embarrassment. It embarrassed me to confess it, but I was never good at remembering my dreams. Anyway, there is no point on thinking about it anymore. After taking a couple of seconds to clear my mind, I lazily look at the clock. It says 6:58 in the morning. And just grammar. In just the 2 minutes, the alarm will ring. I then let out a sigh, feeling relieved at waking up. I really hate that sound, but it is a necessary evil if I want to get to college on time. My apartment is completely silent. I'm the only resident, so if I want to hear some noise, I have to make it myself. Just a few months back, I lived with my parents, but I had to move when I got accepted into college. I don't really mind it, actually. It is very comfortable. I keep in touch with my old friends thanks to the internet. Without saying a word, I get prepared and go out to class. College is only one subway trip away. I chose to study visual arts. My parents are worried I'll never find a job, but at least I would like to try it, just because I like it. However, I should say that soon after my classes started, I got slightly disappointed. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting. I thought we were going to draw all day and learn about anatomy, different styles of shading, and other fun things. But it turns out there are plenty of theoretical classes like expressing our feelings, communication, history of the arts, and others. I don't regret it, but it's like a stain on your dreams. Anyway, I try not to think too much about it. Since the beginning, I knew it was going to be difficult, so a little more effort doesn't make much of a difference. Classes feel short today. I hear the teachers talk and take notes, like every other time, but I can't stop thinking about that dream. I think about it while looking at my necklace, shaped like half a heart. I know somebody gave it to me long ago, but I can't remember who. I guess that's why I look at it, because both are lost from my memory. If I make a big effort, it seems I can remember a little bit, but it's like looking at a blurry picture. No matter how much I look at it, or from which angle, in the end I can't make sense of it. It feels sour, but there's no other choice than to give up on it. By the time I had made out my mind, I had already arrived home. Without paying attention, I opened the door and put down my bag at the entrance. I never expect any visitors, so there is no need to be tidy. Then I turn on the computer and start watching an animated series. It may sound silly, I guess, but I like shows for kids quite a bit. Before I realized it was already late. Lately I feel days are much shorter, but I guess it's my own fault for having so many distractions. I should have dinner and call it a day. I'm ready to cook something when suddenly I hear the phone ringing. That's weird. I can't imagine who it would be at this hour, except for those annoying credit card sellers. Good evening. Hello, Mom. I didn't expect you to call. Yes, I'm fine. Don't worry. Classes are going fine. Not exactly what I expected, but I like them. Of course not. I'm taking good care of what I eat. Yes, I also clean every week. So far, I haven't made any friends, but the course has just started. Yes, Mom, I'll keep that in mind. Good night. Say hi to Dad for me. I sighed just after hanging up. I just moved, and it seems that they are already missing me. But there was no other choice. This college is just too far from home. I loudly yawned. Suddenly, I feel very tired. Because of that dream, I couldn't sleep properly. I think it's better for me to go to bed now. I turn off the lights and lay down, pulling the blankets up to my chest. I then stare at the ceiling for unknown minutes until my eyes finally close. Darkness guides me towards a deep dream. I leave this world, submerging into another. One that exists only for me, only inside of me. A place filled with eternal calmness, where no worry or problem exists, unless I want it to do. What? Unless I want it to do. Or at least that's how it should be. Surrounded by endless white, in front of me there is a woman showing me her back. Someone I had never seen before. Her hair is long and golden. She is unspeakably beautiful. Even without seeing her face, I could know it. Rather, feel it. Just looking at her back makes my heart jump and leaves me breathless. It even seems like the air around her is filled with a mysterious magic. It's not just a smell, but it is an energy that makes everything it touches more beautiful, as if nothing less than perfection was allowed before her. But who could such a person be? Why is she here? Hello? I ask in my confusion. At the same time, I extend a hand towards her, trying to get her attention, but of course she can't see me. Gary? Yes, that's my name. I pause and swallow some saliva. I'm very nervous for no reason. What is yours? The woman is slow to answer, as if she had forgotten her own name. Alice, she finally said with a soft voice. Don't you think it is a pretty name? Well, yes. I feel stupid giving such a short answer, but then I remember there are far more important things to think about. I stare deeply at her, still enchanted by her beauty. Alice? Yes? She answered, still showing her back at me. Why are you here? My heart stops for an instant after I say those words. I don't know the reason, if it was fear or anxiety, but without a doubt, I was expecting something big. Are you a part of my dream? I said after noticing she was taking too long to answer. She was doing it on purpose. I guess I am, or maybe you're a part of mine. Her quick. Her question left me incredulous. What did she mean by that? I'm sorry, I don't get it. I said while taking a step towards her. She shakes her head in denial. Doesn't matter, we are in the same dream. This dream is yours, but also mine. I can't say I fully understand what she meant. But even if we are in the same dream, someone must be the creator of this place, right? And in that case, you could say this dream would belong to that person. You forgot it so easily, Gary. You left me waiting all day and the next day, and then the following one, until I had to come for you. Aren't you ashamed? My heart trembles after hearing those words. Suddenly, I feel chills running all over my spine. What is she talking about? I'm sorry, but I think you are mistaking me for someone else, I said shyly with a weak voice. I feel terribly guilty, but I had never seen her before in my life. You must be confusing me with someone else, that is, considering this isn't all just a weird dream. No, it is you who is confused. I know perfectly who you are. Actually, I know more about you than you do. After saying that, she suddenly shows me her hand, holding a necklace with the shape of half a heart. It's just like mine. The woman sounds slightly angry. Meanwhile, I couldn't be any more confused. My back feels cold. My hands are shaking and my throat is dry. What are you saying? I finally mustered up the courage to grab her by the shoulder. No, it wasn't bravery. I was dead curious. I wanted to know what she meant. Alice turns around, but before I could see her face, she transforms into black smoke. The smoke slips between my fingers, dissipating until it disappears. For an instant, I could feel her warmth and softness. The same feeling as that of caressing a human hand, the hand of a woman. That sensation burns into my fingers, leaving me astonished. My mind is blank. I forget how to even breathe from the surprise. Ooh, what did I forget? I should be more interested in knowing who Alice is. But what really fills my mind is that question. It makes no sense. I suddenly groaned for no reason. I felt like my head just got stabbed. It's like if someone was hitting my skull from the inside, hanging my mind upside down till it drops all my deepest memory. What did I forget? What could be so important? It is at that moment that I suddenly open my eyes. I take a deep breath, filling my lungs with air. I set my hand on my forehead, feeling it covered in sweat. I quickly search for my necklace, finding it right where I left it. I look at the clock. It is 2:20 in the morning. There's still plenty of time before the sun comes. I exhale, letting my anxiety go with my breath. This time, I won't be able to sleep again. Sure of that. Well, maybe it's a good opportunity to have dinner. I say to myself jokingly. I'm not really hungry, but maybe eating something could distract me from that dream. I just put my feet on the floor when suddenly I heard someone ringing the bell at the door. What the heck? I can't imagine who it could be at this hour. I barely get visits in regular hours. I feel a chill run all over my spine. I wait a minute, hoping the visitor would get bored and leave, but after a while it seems that wasn't going to happen. Finally, I sigh exasperatedly, resign myself to go see her. As I walk towards the door, I can't stop thinking that this is too weird. I'm afraid I would be lying to say otherwise, but unless I go and check it, I'll never know what's going on. I swallow my saliva, feeling it bitter when I'm in front of the door. My heart beats so fast that I can feel it in my throat. Then I take a deep breath and prepare to look through the peephole of the door. It is at that moment that I see a small envelope slide in from under the door. I almost jumped from the shock when that happened. My eyes and mouth are open wide, showing my incredulity. Ugh. Showing my incredulity. The word I don't say much. My incredulity. I quickly open the door, finding nothing but empty air in the surroundings. There are no footprints or any other evidence of someone being there, other than the envelope. If it wasn't for it, I would think I'm still dreaming. Only this dream, instead of being mysterious and calm, felt like felt more like a horror story. Without second thought, I closed the door, making sure to lock it. I don't want any unwanted visitors tonight, or ever. I then fixed my sight on the envelope. It's made of ordinary paper and it has no sender information. The only thing it says that is for me. I blink before carefully opening it. Inside there's a single sheet of Inside there's a single sheet of paper with a drawing made with crayon. Not very good. It seems to be made by a small child. Human figures made with sticks and circles that pretend to be a boy and a girl holding hands, right next to a heart. There's something written beside them. Gary and me. It's her. I murmur, my lips moving by themselves. My heart stops for an instant. I shake my head many times, unable to believe it. Can't believe what is in front of my own eye. Ah. I was just getting over the surprise when something else happened. I exclaimed, confused, looking towards the kitchen. I just heard a glass breaking. I live alone, I have no pets, and there is no wind. How is it possible? Did the glass just burst all by itself? Because that's what it looks like. I leave the envelope. Quickly go to the kitchen to see what's happening. Once there, my face becomes pale and my body is solid like stone, while my eyes look in belief at the glass shards on the floor. I almost faint at that moment. I don't know what to think. I don't feel safe anymore. I hold my breath for a couple of seconds until I notice a sheet of paper on the floor. I slowly get closer and pick it up, careful not to steep on the shard. Careful not to steep on the shards. It's another child's drawing. A cheerful one, but at the same time weird. I can't explain it, but seeing that drawing makes me anxious. I shake my head. Rather, I think it is not the drawing itself, but how I found it what makes it weird. There's something written on it. Why did it break? I didn't want it to. Even if things fall, they shouldn't break without my permission. Don't you think that's weird? I blink, confused. My mind is blank. What can I say at something like that? I'm reading an incomprehensible message that shouldn't even exist. However, I don't have much time to think about it. Suddenly, other noise calls my attention. This time, the sound of the shower in the bathroom. I feel a chill move all over my spine, slowly crawling its way. Instantly, my body is covered in ice. I can't move a single finger. I'm frightened. The very idea that someone or something is inside my home when I'm supposed to be alone makes me shake in fear. The sound continues for long seconds, then minutes, without any change. I simply ignore it, as if doing that was enough to make it go away. But no matter how long I wait, that never happens. In the end, I can only steel myself and go check it. I take a deep breath, filling my lungs with air, then slowly walk towards the bathroom, staring at the door before carefully opening it. Warm steam escapes from the room. My heart beats like a drum at every second. I beg there's nothing at the other side. And then what I find is just that. Nothing. The shower suddenly opened itself, pouring hot water without reason. It wouldn't be the first inexplicable thing tonight. I close my eyes and sigh, full of relief. Oh. However, this isn't over yet. I still need to find out what's going on. This is too much to just leave it to my imagination. I close the water, seeing the shower stop. I stand there a few more seconds, trying to understand what's happening. But of course, I can't come with an answer. Then I rub my face in a gesture full of frustration. I'm losing my head. Excuse me. I said quietly, talking to myself. Then I exhale, letting my anxiety go with breath. I think about going out or calling someone for company, but I have no one to ask for help. And strangely, the idea of going out this night sounds even more terrifying. When I opened the door, I saw the hallway empty. It gave me the sensation that something scary was hiding in the shadows. I can't explain it, but I locked the door and wanted to stay like that. But it seems my home isn't safe either. I turn around thinking I'm going back to bed. Then only thing I can do is wait for the sun to come out. If the next night I have another experience like this, I'll move out without second thoughts. Then suddenly I opened my eyes wide, incredulous. I didn't realize before, but there was a drawing in the mirror as if someone had used a finger to clean the thin layer of steam on it. The ship sinking. There's also something written. There are hundreds of paths, and all of them guide to the same end. I read it over and over without understanding what it means. Is it a message for me? My lips can't say a single word. The silence now feels oppressive. My heart shrinks as I think how alone I am, as if I had been cut away from the world, forsaken. However, things continue to happen, things that shouldn't. I can't understand anything. I don't know what I can do. But my only hope is that the sun will turn all this in nothing more than a bad dream. With that in mind, I walk to my room, but when I get there, I find there's another surprise waiting for me. What is this? I murmured, confused, while looking right at a sheep plush. It's in perfect condition, as if it was new. Maybe it is. There's no way to know. Next to the plush, there's a sheet of paper. I quietly get close and pick it up. It has a drawing of a wolf made with crayons. It looks angry. There's something written too. I don't like wolves, but I'm surrounded by them. The only way to avoid them is by hiding. Again, an incomprehensible message. Just like the fact that plushie appeared from nowhere. After a few seconds, I grabbed the plushie with curiosity. It's very soft. It could easily be used as a pillow. Outside of that, there's nothing else worth saying. It doesn't appear to have anything weird. I don't know what I should do. Everything is so strange. It all began after that dream. I blinked confused, trying to come an answer. That's right, I forgot. This must be all the work of that woman, Alice. Her words come back to my mind. She said I had forgotten something. I don't think there could be a memory that could make sense of all of this. But even knowing that it would be a lie to say I don't have an uncontrollable curiosity. Gary? I was lost in my mind when suddenly I hear someone whisper my name. I jump surprised. My heart stops and my blood turns to ice. I instantly turn around by a reflex, finding something that simply shouldn't be there. In front of my eyes, a huge mirror had appeared. It is even bigger than me, reflecting all of my body. I stare at my own reflex. I stare at my own reflex, hypnotized by that image. As if it's the first time I had seen a mirror. I look at my reflex, copying my movements without mistake. My reflex. Not my reflection, but my reflex. Wait. It is even reflecting all of my body. I move my hands, my head, and my legs, and the reflection does exactly the same. However, there's something special in that image. The person in the mirror is the right one, but the place where it is not the same. My room does not reflect in the mirror. Instead, the background belongs to another house, made of wood and with the looks of being abandoned for many years. I simply can't talk. Not a single word comes to my mind that could begin to describe the feeling of wonder, surprise, and insecurity that invades me at this moment. It's so incredible, so impossible, something out of a dream. But that's why it is something I can't control or even understand. Is it even safe to be in the same room as that mirror? I don't know. However, I can't stop staring at it. Ooh, we got choices. Mmm. 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 Look. Let's see. Looking it closer, or I should get out of here. Well. Decisions, decisions. Look at it closer. Enchanted by the mysterious presence of the mirror, I start to walk towards it. Before I knew it, I was standing right next to it. I blinked while looking at it in silence. There's something incredible in it. Not just that, something beautiful too. I don't think before extending a hand, touching the glass with the tip of my fingers. It feels like touching the surface of a frozen lake. I feel like I only need to press a little harder to get inside the mirror, cross it as if I was jumping into a pool. Should I try it? Why not? Jump! I'm not aware of what I was thinking until my feet, but then it was too late to stop. I opened my eyes, astonished at seeing what I was doing. Somebody planted an idea in my mind, and I accepted it as mine so easily it was scary. Just seconds ago, I was frightened of that mirror. Now I was being consumed by it, falling deeper and deeper into an unknown place. I close my eyes, now unable to see me fall. I want to scream, but no sound comes out from me. This is about It's as if I was screaming in outer space. There is air here. No, I was wrong. It's not air, but water what surrounds me. I'm sinking as if someone had chained an anchor to my legs so fast I confused it with falling. The sensation doesn't go away for many long seconds that seem eternal. I lose myself falling from the world I belong to another unknown one. No! Suddenly I open my eyes, gasping with surprise at the same time I wake up, almost jumping. I was about to scream as if waking up from a nightmare. I would say it was just that, if it wasn't for a single detail. I rub my forehead, finding small drops of sweat. Then I take a deep breath, closing my eyes for a moment. My heart still beats, but slowly it relaxes. When I open my eyes again, I realize I'm not in my room. I haven't woken up yet from that strange nightmare. Instead, I find myself in an old building made of wood. What is this place? I murmur, confused while looking around, ignoring how I got here. There doesn't seem to be anything strange with it. I find myself in a dormitory. There are many beds around, all of them small and painted with bright colors. That makes me think they belong to children. I scratch my head before standing up. Where am I? There is nobody here to listen to my questions. Curiosity is too much to stay quiet. I didn't realize before, but the beds have names on them. Royer, I read aloud. With curiosity, I look at the others. Mary, Henry. And I suddenly stop, opening my wide eyes astonished. My heart jumps when I read the next name. Gary. What is this? I can't explain why it has my name. The only answer that comes to my mind is that someone was waiting for me. Prepared it. But in that case, it is too small. I shake my head confused, then look at the bed next to it. In so little time, I'm hit by a new surprise that makes me tremble to the core. The name on it was crossed, but there's another one below. The name on it was crossed out, but there's another one below it that I instantly recognized. Alice. It's her. It must be her who brought me here. I said with complete confidence. Then I looked down, trying to think on what to do next. Soon after, I rubbed my forehead, feeling quite stupid. I first need to get out of here, then find a way back home. Of course, I said to myself, as if it was so easy. When I leave the bedroom, I arrive to a hallway that connects to two other doors. I get some more rooms with some stairs that go down to the first floor. First, I try to open the doors without result. Soon, the only option I have left is to go down. At the end of the stairs, there's a door. When I open it, I see what seems to be the living room. I step inside, then I look around with curiosity, discovering a double door. It's the exit. It has to be. I almost jump excited with that thought. But that happiness would not last much. After looking at it closely, I realized something. That door was never going to open. There wasn't anything keeping it closed. It's just I'm looking at a fake door. It's only part of the wall disguised as a door. This can't be, I said after meaninglessly trying to open it. Then I shake my head. I'm wrong. This is very possible. After all, I'm inside another world. This is the world behind the mirror. I can't judge it with the same logic as mine. I shouldn't. I take a deep breath before letting out a long sigh. If I want to escape, I guess I could try with the same mirror that got me in. Now the problem is finding it. Scary? Suddenly I feel a chill. All of my body turns to ice when I hear someone call my name, whispering with a creepy voice behind my back. I instantly turn around, finding surprised how from nowhere, not one but 4 doors had appeared. What is going on? I say confused before getting closer. Each door has a name written. The Forest of Whispers, Stoop to the Deep, the Kingdom of the Sun, and the Forgotten Castle. I read the names aloud, unable to remember even hearing any of them. They're completely new to me. However, the mystery doesn't end there. 3 of the doors are open, and the last of the Forgotten Castle is blocked by 3 big block pads. I'm never going to be able to break them. I said with resignation before sighing. The chains look very solid. But if there are locks, it's because they are protecting something. It can't be just a coincidence to have 3 doors open and 3 lock pads. There must be something valuable behind that door. I nod, convinced I am right. Then I stare at the open doors. Which one should I open first? Ooh, another choice. Forest of Whispers. A lot of grammatical errors in this one. Well, let's try the Forest of Whispers. What could possibly go wrong? Suddenly I open my eyes. However, I don't wake up in my bed as I would like. Instead, I find myself laying under a tree in the middle of a thick and dark forest. Ah, I exclaimed, bewildered. The last I remember was turning the knob of the door. Then there was a gap in my memory, as if I had been teleported to this place. No, it's more like if I had always been here, just unconscious. The memories of the orphanage and everything that happened before are blurry in my memory, as if only a bad dream. But that's impossible. I would never fall asleep in the middle of the forest. I take a deep breath and rub my eyes to fully awake before standing up. I look around, not finding a single thing I could call familiar to me. Everything is unknown, and even creepy. Forest full of trees with twisted branches. The air is damp and cold. The leaves seem to whisper words when they move with the wind, but that is only my imagination. Or so I hope. Thankfully, the full moon... Thankfully, the full moon gives enough light to see my way. However, it also produces many shadows which seem to toy with my mind. I put my hand to my chest, feeling how anxiety hardens my heart. Just one look. No more than a few seconds, and I'm already nervous. Anyway, I can't stay here. I should look for shelter to pass the night. Under the sunlight, even this forest should stop feeling so scary. I inhale before starting to walk. It's easy to hear my footsteps, walking over the branches and leaves in the ground, creating an unmistakable creaking sound each time. I Occasionally I stop and look around, thinking I saw something move. But after looking at it better, I realize it is nothing. The leaves whisper with the wind, saying words I can't manage to understand. I feel they laugh at me behind my back, as if the trees could make fun of me. But that's impossible, right? Strangely, there's a sliver of doubt in my mind. After all, it wouldn't be the first impossible thing to happen this long night. After walking for an unknown time, I finally see something appear at the distance. It seems to be a wooden sign, those used to say the name of the place. Excited, I hurry up until I am close enough to read it with a dim light. There's the warning sign. Danger! Beware of the talking wolves. The last word was crossed and instead wrote something else. Instead, someone wrote something else. Talking wolves? What does that mean? I asked myself, unable to understand it. There's also a sheet of paper stuck to the sign with something written on it. I take it with both hands before reading it. The Lonely Girl. Once upon a time, there was a girl who lived in a cabin in the woods, without any company except for her grandfather. He used to hunt during the day and gather wood during the night. Every day he'd get up early and return late at night, which is why she never got to see him, because when she woke up, he was already gone and didn't come back until after she had gone to bed. Even then, days were gentle. She never felt cold or hungry. However, there was something secret which worried her. During the day, she sunshine between the leaves of the trees. The forest was beautifully. Since I can't read today. The forest was beautiful, painted by the green of the leaves and full with sound of the animals, like the singing of the birds. However, when the sun came down, all the charm and beauty of the forest was lost. At night, she closed all doors and windows, and then, frightened, heard the howling of the wolves. The sounds of their howls made her heart tremble, feeling something terrible in them. Some nights they didn't howl. Some others it felt like they would never stop. Sometimes they seemed to be very far, and others too close, as if they were right next to the house. But she knew that as long as she stayed inside, she was safe. She only had to do that, stay inside the house, sleep until the sun came out again. Every night the same routine repeated, but no matter how many times she did the same, she could never get used to it. Every time the howling of the wolves felt more distressing, more anguishing, until one night she didn't hear a howl, but something totally different. Crying. Hearing an animal crying made guilt bloom in her heart. Maybe it's a wounded dog, she said to herself, believing her own lie. Without second thoughts, she walked towards the door and unlocked the safe, opening it to let the supposed dog in. As she opened it, smiling, she thought she had finally found someone to make her company at home. But her smile didn't last long, because as soon as she opened the door fully, she saw a vicious wolf standing in front of her, and with a single jump, it ate her. What is this? What is this? A children's story? I can't imagine what kind of person would stick a story in a sign. I think about it for a moment and then shake my head and sigh. Anyway, I have to keep moving. I can't waste time thinking about this, and a part of me thinks it's better to leave it unanswered. Without delay, I resume walking across the forest. I walk in a straight line, in a single direction, to avoid walking in circles, or at least that's what I hope. Since I woke up, I had the sensation that this is one of those haunted forests from fairy tale. Those were it is impossible to escape unless you do something special. Of course, there's no sure way to know it unless I try it. However, it doesn't take long for me to stop again. Ooh. Suddenly I heard something, a sound that doesn't stop. I feel a chill run over my back when I realize what sound it was. It's something I know very well, the sound of chewing. It has to be a beast. It couldn't be anything else. My common sense tells me it is better to go back and try another path. Yes, that's the best decision. Putting myself in danger by getting closer is the worst thing I could do. However, there's a part of me that wants to do just that. I feel a terrible curiosity for seeing what's making that sound. This is haunted forest, right? Then the animals who live here must also be magical. Ooh, that sound. I get closer to where the sound comes, walking carefully one step at a time, making sure to be quiet. Soon a shadow appears between the trees. It slowly adopts the shape of a wolf as I get closer. Pathetic. Then an unknown voice, talking as it chews the raw meat of its prey. I open my mouth and eyes wide, full of surprise. The strange black wolf said a word, I'm sure it did. Accepting it shakes my very core and leaves me breathless. I feel suddenly cold. Oh dear. Oh dear. Grr, worthless. Once again it talks, just before having another bite. Seems more like it was growling with sounds that imitated human voice. It doesn't look aware of what it is saying. The sound comes out naturally, and my mind interprets them as words. Those must be the talking wolves. I look how it rips off a piece of meat with its sharp fangs for a second before averting my eyes. Then I shake my head. I think I had seen enough. It is better to leave before it notices my presence. I turn around thinking on getting away, but as soon as give my first step, I hear the creaking sound of a branch. My heart freezes at that moment. I ruined it. I got careless thinking the danger had passed. Oh, woo. The wolf howls loudly, making it echo across the forest. I shake in fear. Then I turn around just to see a jump falling right in front of me. Idiot, said the wolf, growling with anger. Its eyes shine between the shadows, looking right at me. It is about to attack me, I'm sure. My heart races. I have to do something. I also end up like its other prey. Ooh. I am going to take a quick break real quick and then, decide what to do. I'm back. Do we run or do we fight? Let's confront it. Once I heard that running away from a beast is the worst thing you can do, since you are showing it fear and weakness. Instead, acting brave gives them the impression that you are strong, and it's better not to mess with you. Arg, weakling. The wolf shows me its teeth as it growls. To say that image is scary would be a mistake. I am dead cold in fear. Even my soul is shaking in fear. I can feel my heart in my throat, begging me to run away. But I can't do it. I have to fight my instincts, or it will be the end. Suddenly the wolf growls loudly, making an echo all across the forest. Hearing that scares me so much I lose my balance and fall down. Immediately I look for the beast, noticing it's getting much closer now. Its eyes and fangs shine with the moon's light. I made a mistake. It isn't until now that my hands are shaking and my legs paralyzed that I realize it. Maybe in the real world I made the right decision, but this is not my world, nor the reality I know. It was foolish to believe a talking wolf from a haunted forest would behave just the way I wanted it. That's the last thing that crosses my mind before seeing it jump at me. In an instant, everything became red, and soon later, an absolute black. Oh. Oh no. Game over, man. Game over. I gotta. Oh, I should have saved. I should have saved. Oh no. Okay. 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 This time. Okay, okay. Let's see what happens when we run. I don't doubt hearing my instincts. Without second thoughts, I turn around and start running as fast as I can. Coward. Grr. I hear it yell behind my back, not knowing if it was following me or not. I just don't think about it. I only want to get as far away as possible. I run like never before in my life. I've never been really fit, but I also never had a motivation as good as this to keep running. I hear my rushed footsteps over the leaves of the forest, till I finally stop to catch my breath after running for unknown minutes. I gasp for air, feeling my legs and chest burning. When I look back, finding relief, there are only shadows and twisted trees. The beast was left behind. I close my eyes and sigh just before collapsing on the ground. I have no more strength to stand up. My heart keeps beating fast, reminding me of the danger. I want to get out of here, I said to myself, closing my eyes for a moment. I take a deep breath, trying to relax. When my eyes open again, I look around with curiosity. What is this? I said, noticing there was a sheet of paper on the ground. Curious, I get closer and pick it up. Then I read what it says. Don't try to speak with the wolves. Don't feed them. How weird. I murmur, confused by that strange message. Talking with the wolves is out of discussion. It doesn't seem like they have much to tell me anyway. But the strangest part is the one about feeding them. I have the impression it doesn't mean to give them food, but to end up as food for them. Well, I already did once. My head hurts after trying to imagine it. I think it's better for me to forget about it. I keep on moving. I still have to find a safe place to spend the night. Without delay, I stand up and resume walking. Only this time I'm much more nervous than before. Now I'm sure there is something dangerous hiding between the shadows of this haunted forest. Just knowing it makes my heart beat anxious. I keep on walking without saying a word, just listening to the lonely sound of my footsteps. At first the silence was very comforting, since I knew that as long I don't hear anything, I am safe. However, slowly it got more and more upsetting, until it reached the point it was unbearable. The silence, being so alone and surrounded by nothingness, is just depressing. I feel like if everything I do is a meaningless effort. I rub my forehead out of frustration. I just don't know what to do. I have no map, no clue, not even a loose idea to give me some sense of direction. I was about to lose my mind when suddenly I noticed what seems to be a building at the distance. I squint, trying to see better what it is. An old wood cabin in the forest. Finally, I exclaimed cheerfully at the same time that my heart jumps excited. After getting closer, I realize it is in really bad shape. Old, damaged by the time and exposure to the elements, with the door and windows broken. At night and inside this forest, it seemed like the ideal place for a horror story. A lonely cabin in the middle of a haunted forest. I just hope the wolves have scared away the witches. When I'm about to get in, I notice that besides the broken door, there's a note nailed to it. I read what it says. The talking wolves have a weak sense of smell. As long as you keep quiet and don't stand out, they won't see you. Weak sense of smell? I would expect to be the opposite. I guess that explains why I haven't found others. Looks like they aren't very good at tracking their prey. I take a deep breath before stepping inside the cabin. I hear the boards creaking with each step I take, making me uneasy. At no time I think about asking if someone is home. It would be better if it was abandoned. I beg for it to be. The inside of the cabin is damaged as the exterior. The furniture is covered by a thick layer of dust, and there are cobwebs everywhere. I find some oil lamps, but they are all empty. With curiosity, I try to light one of them with no results. Chairs, tables, and other furniture are in such a bad state that it seems a single touch would be enough to make them fall apart, so I avoid doing it. The oven still has coal inside, but doesn't seem to have been used in a long time. I continue exploring until finally stopping in front of a door. My heart jumps when I feel a chill run over my spine. I hold my breath, unable to believe it. There's light coming out from under the door. It's perfectly quiet, but just seeing light in there makes me think there's someone inside. However, the hard part is guessing who that could be. Who could that be? At least I don't think it's a wolf. Then suddenly I remember what I thought before. It was only a joke when I said that about the witches, but now I was actually considering it. I don't knock the door, just carefully open it, holding my breath as I wait for what would be revealed on the other side. My eyes open wide. Open wide and surprised at the same time. My face gets pale with incredulity. As I see in front of me a little girl lying on the floor and reading a book. I look at her in silence without moving a single muscle. I don't know what I should do. I'm not even sure it was real. And yet here it is in front of my eyes, looking so innocent. Suddenly the girl blinks and notices my presence. She then turns her head, staring at me for a couple of seconds. Ah! Without a reason, she exclaimed, terrified, standing up with a single move and getting behind the bed in the room. It was her protecting shield against the unwanted invader that I was. I scratch my head confused, then raise my hand, showing with a gesture that I don't have bad intentions. I say it like that, still and quiet for a moment for her to calm down. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. After saying that, I notice how she peeks from behind the bed. It might sound silly, but to me it was incredibly cute. Don't be shy. It is only I'm lost and was looking for a place to rest for the night. I stopped for a moment to let her say something, but after getting no answer for a while, I continue. My name is Gary. What is yours? I smile gently as I crouch so that we can see at each other's eyes. I stare at her and she stares back at me, as if we could see the interior of our hearts in our eyes. Her look is fragile but honest. She blinks, taking a few more seconds before finally getting out from behind the bed. It makes me glad to see she finally seems to trust me. Mary, my name is Mary. Nice to meet you, Mary. My name is Gary. I pause, noticing the way she looks at me. She's got a sheep plush. You can trust me. She tilts her head and slowly gets closer. You're not a wolf, right? Her question confused me for a second. However, soon I remember my past experience. No, without a doubt, I'm not. Actually, I found this place from after getting away from one of them. Ah, she exclaims, surprised. Then gets even closer until we are finally face to face. Mary hugs a sheep plushie all the time. She doesn't seem more than 70 years old. I tilt my head as I look at her with curiosity. Your parents, are they around here? She shakes her head. No, I haven't. I have never seen them. Since I have memory, I have lived here alone. All alone, there's no one to make you company. I wasn't thinking when I said that. My lips moved by reflex. It isn't until I see how she lowers her sight with sadness that I realize my mistake. She gives no other answer than shaking her head in denial. But that's enough. I'm sorry. I pause and sigh, lowering my face for a moment. Then I look at her into the eyes. Mary, how long have you been in this place? She blinks while thinking about it. I can't remember, but as long as I know, I've always been here. Those words made my almost said fart. Those words made my heart feel heavy, as if it had suddenly turned into lead. By the way she says it, it sounds like if she was born in this cabin. But somehow I expected that answer. You have been waiting all this time here? She nods, hugging tighter her plushie. Yes. You don't have an idea of how many days have passed? Once again, she shakes her head in denial. No, you see, here is always night, so I can't count the days. I'm astonished after hearing that. In silence, I try to think, what does it mean? Or rather, I try to accept it as true. No matter how many times I repeat to myself that I'm in another world, my mind always tries to find logic, a thing that possibly doesn't exist. Is that something bad? Mary's voice pulls me back to reality. I instantly look into her eyes, not knowing what to say. My face must look very silly right now. I'm not sure about calling it bad, but I don't think it's right to be in a place like this all the time. She is a prisoner. There are no locks or cells. But she can't escape from this place, and it seems me neither. I like this place, she said suddenly, shaking all of my ideas. You like it? You don't feel lonely or bored? No, more importantly, you don't feel hungry being in here? Somehow, I think I knew that answer before even asking. Mary shakes her head. No, it's not like that. I never feel hungry, so I don't need to eat. And I like being alone. Here, there are many books to read. I scratch my head while making a confused face. Have you ever been outside this cabin? Mary trembles when she hears my question. She then hides her face behind a plushie, in such a way I can only see from her eyes up. No, the wolves are outside. I hate them. I don't want to cross paths with them. Yes, you are right, I said, feeling stupid. Then I take a deep breath as I think. They don't come close to the cabin. This is a safe place, right? Mary nods. Yes, I don't know why, but they never get near here. I think they believe it's empty. She then shyly looks away. The talking wolves have a weak sense of smell, so as long as they don't see you or hear you, they won't attack you. That sounds familiar. That's right. It's exactly what was written in the note at the entrance. Where did you read that, Mary? I asked while staring at her, but always with gentle eyes. She tilts her head confused. She tries to remember, but it seems she finds nothing. I can't remember, but it's the truth. It's been a long while since last they came near because I know how to hide. She then looks down and hugs her plushie, looking terribly shy. If you want, you could stay here and make me company. The question takes me by surprise. I'd stay silent with my mind blank before feeling a chill. Then I realized all this time she has been staring at me deeply, awaiting for my answer, as she hides her face behind her plushie. Why do I take so long to answer? Am I actually considering it? The answer should be obvious. I have to get out of here. But every time I think about it, the image of the wolf comes to my mind. Its sharp fangs are something I never want to see again in my life. For a moment, I doubt what is even the right choice. I'm thinking about going back home, but I don't even know if that's possible. And if I face those woods, the most likely outcome is my end. Oh, we learned that the hard way. I have no words. I'm ashamed of how coward my indecision is. I only think in running away from the pain, leaving behind all else. Gary? It is not until Mary calls my name that I snap out. She blinks while looking at me confused. I'm sorry, I lost myself for a moment, I said before shyly smiling at her. Mary doesn't seem to get it, so I quickly lose my smile. Then, would you like to stay here? I swallow saliva as I hear that question resound in my head. I think about it for long seconds, unable to reach an answer. None of the options convince me. No, I'm sorry, but I have to be honest. I finally said after a moment that felt too long. The words come directly out of my heart. Thinking too much about it instead of helping me was confusing me more. You won't stay? Mary wasn't expecting that answer from me. She wasn't angry or even sad, just astonished, as if I had said something crazy. In her eyes, it must be it. You are not afraid of the wolves? She hides her face behind her plushie as she asks that question. I scratch my head in a shy gesture. Actually, I am, and a lot. But I don't believe I could feel comfortable staying here for the rest of my life. She tilts her head, then looks at me confused. You don't like this place? When she asked that question, I noticed how she hugs her plushie very tight. It seems it was hard for her to think so. No, nothing like that, but I don't want to be here forever. I have a home and a life I want to go back to. I look deeply at her as I talk. I would like to explain her how I feel, but sadly I have never been good with words. I can't say I'm very excited to return to my life of homework and school. But making my life just be in a small room is definitely something I don't want. I shyly scratch my head before speaking. Mary, actually, I don't think I can be as strong as you are. If I were to stay in this place, well, I would get depressed after a short time. That's why I apologize, but I can't accept your offer. She lowers her face disappointed, then closes her eyes and sighs. It's my fault, right? You don't have to hide it, I'm sorry. I won't bother you anymore. Something inside of me moves after seeing her making that face. What are you saying? No, it's not your fault, Mary. I feel confused. I stare at her in silence without knowing what to say. Mary looks back at me with fragile eyes as if her life depended on it. I knew she was shy, but I think she is it a lot more than I expected. I shake my head, then gently pet hers. Mary, it's not your fault. I don't know how to say it, but I don't think I can be happy in a place so small as this. There are still many things I would like to do, and if I stay in this place, I would never get a chance to do them. I pause and breathe, taking that moment to look into her eyes. She looks much better now, but still stares at me full of curiosity for what was I going to do. She is right. If I don't want to stay, what other choices do I have? Mary, do you know about any exits from this forest? As if I had said something unthinkable, I see how she opens her eyes, wide astonished. An exit? After saying those words, she hides her face behind her plushie. I do. There is an exit. I blink, confused, and I feel my heart jump excited. Exited. Exited. Really? I said excited, unable to control myself, seeing later how she shyly nods. But you can't go there. It's on the den of the wolves. Mary trembles and hides her face fully. She avoids looking at me, as if it were her fault. Suddenly I go quiet, immobile too, as if I had turned to stone. All the excitement of just a few seconds ago died in less than a blink. Of course it couldn't be so easy. It's just so unfair. I look down feeling hopeless. Again the memory of the wolf's fangs flashes in my mind. For a moment I forgot about everything but that image and the fear it produces in it. Gary? Called shyly. I'm sorry, I lost myself for a moment. That's fine, but she pauses and looks down. Now that you know we can't escape, what are you going to do? Do you still don't like the idea of staying with me? When I hear those words, I feel a hole open inside me. It is true we can't escape. Is it true we can't escape? I look around slowly. It's too small, a tiny safe place with books, lamps, a bed, and some toys. I sigh before speaking. Mary? I pause after calling her name, looking right into her eyes. Her own is so fragile, as if her soul could break with just yelling at her. She says she is happy alone, but her insistence makes me think that that's not quite right. How long have you been in this place? I ask suddenly, and I pet her head tenderly, hoping to inspire trust in her. She blinks at the question. How long? I really don't know. It's been many days, but everything is always dark. Don't you think it has been long enough? The room gets quiet. Mary stares at me astonished for a couple of seconds. Then she hides her face completely behind her plushie. She avoids my eyes and hides her own. Looks like she is even more confused than myself. For a moment, I feel guilty. What should I say? Let me make sure, yeah. Um, Hmm. I have to be strong and get out of here. I have to be strong and get out of here. The wolves are without a doubt scary, but I can't let them stop me. I don't want to live the rest of my days here. I forced those words out of me, gathering all of my strength. However, far from inspiring her, it seems those words felt heavy on her. Mary looks down, staring at the floor, feeling inferior. Without second thoughts, I gently pet her head. Thankfully, she doesn't escape from my hand. You don't like this place? I'm sorry. Mary looks down, feeling guilty. I shyly smile as I think on what to say. I'm sorry, but I think I didn't explain myself correctly. What I wanted to say is, don't you want to see what is beyond this forest? What is beyond? She murmured, confused, looking up at me. Her fragile eyes can't stop looking at mine. I don't know. I have never seen it. I read in books about the sea and the cities, but I don't know if I would like them. Sometimes I think the best place for me is inside this cabin. Leaving it would be a mistake. Mary then looks down. I don't get, but I know for sure I'm not happy with the answer. I feel sorry for her. Is out there really such a good place? The question makes me think, what should I say? All these decisions. There are many things out there, and without a doubt, I think it's better than being here. Being trapped in such a small cabin is really depressing. I say every word with the purest honesty. It might sound rough, but that's how I feel, and I think it's better to be clear about it. However, when I see Mary, I know she looks down as if something hurt inside of her. My whole body goes cold in that moment. Feeling of regret fills me. Of course, just being honest doesn't mean it's the right way to say it. I quickly think of something else to say. Mary, I would like you to come with me. Mary shivers after hearing my words. She looks at me, hiding her face behind a plushie, confused. She is not angry nor disgusted by the idea. Is more as if she had never thought about it. However, suddenly she looks down. And what about the wolves? It's true, even if I have the will to do it, there's a big obstacle before me. It's not that easy as just making a choice. I don't know. I guess I'll think of something. There must be some way of scaring them away. My first idea is to use fire. It's common sense that animals are afraid of it. However, this talking wolves are weird. Strangely, they seem to be attracted by light, so it might not be such a good idea. Are you very smart, Gary? Mary's voice pulls me back to reality. I notice how she stares at me with curiosity, then smile ashamed. Well, actually, I think it would be better to say I'm creative. I end with a friendly chuckle. At least I would like to say I am. Mary smiles, and that melts my heart. If she wasn't so shy, she would be an incredibly adorable girl. Mary, what do you know about the talking wolves? She hugs tight of plushie as soon as she hears my question, hiding the lower half of her face behind it. Not much. Just that they are attracted by the noise and light. Yes, of course. I look around as I think about it. It's a hard riddle. It feels dumb to believe that I can come to understand the creatures of a haunted forest in less than one night. What is this? I exclaimed, confused, when I noticed there was a note between the stuff in her room. I don't know how I didn't see it before. As I walked towards it, I think it appeared from nowhere. Then I pick it up and read what it says. No matter how much it hurts, don't cry. It's tears what attracts them, not blood. I make a weird face after reading it. Of all the messages, this has been the most uncomfortable till now. Then I turn to Mary, who looks at me with curiosity. Mary, did you write this message? I see how she instantly shakes her head in denial. No, I've never seen it before. Sometimes things appear or disappear in this. She pauses and looks down. I don't know how, but it happens. How weird. I exclaim, confused. I'm not proud of my answer, but there is nothing else I can say about it. Then I go quiet. I close my eyes as I think in other answer. When I open them again, I see Mary sitting at the edge of the bed. I read the message one more time before leaving it on the floor. I guess it's better to forget all the questions and just focus on the information presented at us. That's when something suddenly comes to my mind. Light and sounds attracts them. I murmured before looking at Mary. She looks back at me with curiosity. Mary, I was thinking maybe we should try to make a lot of noise when we see a wolf. She shivers after hearing me. But wouldn't they attract more of them? I tilt my head and then smile. I was thinking we should try the opposite. I know it sounds crazy, but if they are so sensible to sound, maybe a lot of sound would be unpleasant to them and they would go away. It's crazy and maybe even dangerous. I strangely start to feel guilty just for suggesting it, but I do believe it could work. I honestly think it's possible. At least, if it turns out I'm mistaken, I could always run to save my life. I scratch my head while making a weird face. I'm sorry, before suggesting something like this, I should test it. I should go out and find a wolf to try it out. My heart races just from even thinking about it. Finding a wolf sounds like the stupidest thing I could do. But it is necessary. I don't want to put a little girl in danger. However, it is Mary herself who stops me. No, it's all right, she said before standing it up. She looks at me with shy confidence. If Gary says so, then it must be true. Actually, Mary, I think it was better to try it before. She shakes her head. No, I want to go with you. Then she hugs her plushie tight, hiding her face partially. Suddenly, she looks very sad and worried. I don't want you to escape without me. After saying that, she looks down, avoiding my eyes. Everything becomes quiet. I feel as if something inside me had broken. What should I say? How can I comfort her? My mind is blank, feeling a mixture of guilt and pity. I wouldn't abandon her like that, but I can't make her trust me after just meeting each other. Do you really want to come with me? I asked as I pet her head gently. To what she answered with a nod. Yes. After hearing you talk about the outside, I'd like to see it at least once. Hearing her say that warms my heart. Guess it's my fault. I gently smile for a second before sighing. All right, I'll let you come with me. But if it doesn't work, I want you to run as fast as possible. Yes. As she says that, she hides her face behind her plushie. Seeing how shy she is, I think the hard part would be keeping her close when a wolf appears. I sigh again, only this time relieved. Well, I think we should get prepared. Mysteriously, all the exhaustion from before had disappeared. Now that I realize I'm so calm as if nothing had happened, as if I had woken up just a few minutes back. There is no sweat, thirst, or any other evidence of me running for my life before. Anyway, I try not to think about it. Instead, I focus on my attention on what we could need. I take an oil lamp there as in the room and watch it with curiosity. They never run out of oil. I blinked surprised after hearing it. Understood. Thank you for telling me, man. Besides the lamp, it would be good to bring some kind of weapon. The closest I could find is a loose board in the cabin. The piece of wood is sturdy enough to be used as a baseball bat. I hold it tight for a second before letting out a long sigh. Then I look at Mary, forcing a brave smile. I think it's time to go out. Yes, she said, nodding. Then I see her hug her plushie tightly. Without wasting time, I start walking towards the exit, not knowing what to expect. I only hope that if we find any more wolves, they are slow as the first. I'm about to cross a broken door in the cabin when I notice something. There's another note nailed on, a new one right beside the old. Curiosity, I read what it says. Your best friend is someone who can't talk. It doesn't complain or makes fun of you behind your back. Once again, I feel a chill run over my spine. Every message is worse than the last, no doubt about it. Then I shake my head, leaving the note away. Mary stares at me confused. Does it say something bad? No, it's just weird. I ignore it and we begin walking across the forest with the lamp on to light our way. Once again, the crunching of the leaves reaches my ears. You should turn off the lamp. I look down at her with curiosity. No, I think it's better like this. But if you don't turn it off, the wolves will see us. I see her tremble as she says that. I know, but actually I would like for a wolf to find us before reaching the cave, to test my theory that they're afraid of loud noises. If it doesn't, we can always turn off the lamp and run. I smile nervous, begging in my mind to be right. It's easier to escape from one or two wolves in the forest than inside a cave. Mary covers her face with a plushie, acting shy. I understand. She doesn't sound convinced, but she is not brave enough to complain. I sigh, feeling somewhat guilty, then set my eyes to the front. Is this the way to the cave? Yes, just keep going straight. I nod, taking a deep breath to steel myself. All right, let's go. After saying that, we both keep silent as we slowly walk to the cave. I don't turn the lamp, but do lower the light. Don't want to call too much attention. Then find myself surrounded by wolves. I stay alert, waiting for a wolf to appear in at any moment. However, not a single one does. Time passes in complete silence, with the exception of our own steps. It's so calm that for a moment I relax, forgetting of the danger. I start thinking the wolves might be sleeping. I guess at some point they too have to sleep. Or at least that's the only explanation that comes to my mind. I don't notice the seconds pass. Ooh, excuse me. I don't notice the seconds pass, or the moment I held Mary's hand, walking beside her while holding the lamp with my other hand, and the board I took as a weapon under my arm. This is the place, she said then, pointing at a big cave in the middle of the forest. I blinked surprised. It's really huge, and much scarier than any other place in this forest. Calling it haunted wouldn't suffice. The air coming out from it is so cold, so freezing, and with a presence beyond scary. It's almost as if we were going inside the mouth of a beast. The only thing missing are the teeth at the entrance. Gary, do we really have to get in? Mary, at the same time, she pulls my hand. The gesture is enough to know she wants to stop me. I turn to her and shyly smile. I guess we can always go back, I said before, looking down confused. No, I apologize. I don't want to go back. If we do it now, I'm afraid we will never have the strength to try again. Besides, we haven't seen a single wolf. Maybe this is our best chance. Mary doesn't answer with anything other than a fragile look. She holds my hand tight. It's easy to know she doesn't want to do it. But for that very reason, I think we should go on. I want Mary to escape and meet a better place. I feel bad thinking on the long time she must have spent in this forest. Then I take a breath and look forward to the entrance overflowing with darkness before us. Don't let go of my hand, I said before starting to walk inside. To say I'm not afraid, too, would be a crude lie. My heart beats uneasy. I get goosebumps feeling the cold air caressing my skin. At any moment, a wolf could come out, more than one. Good. Don't get scared. That idea repeats itself in my mind without end. But mysteriously, after many minutes of walking, we still haven't found a single one. There are plenty of tracks and even some bones, but they don't seem recent. I don't get it. Is as if they had vanished without a trace. I thought this was the Wolf's Cave. I asked with curiosity, always looking at the front. It is. This is the cave, I'm sure. Mary explained, sounding slightly angry. I then exclaimed with curiosity. In that case, I guess they moved somewhere else. Or maybe they are just out. Or maybe they are just out. But well, so much better for us. None of my explanations convince me. Isn't all this just too easy? I'm afraid this is all a trap, but can the wolves even plan something like that? It sounds impossible. Look, it's other of those notes. Mary said, letting go of my hand for a second to point at the white sheet between a pile of dry bones. You are right. I murmured, confused, doubting for a second before getting close to pick it up. Thankfully, the bones have no smell or meat, nor they seem to be human. I guess the idea of picking up a message from a pile of bones should be scary, but I'm actually more worried for what it has written on it. If you see their faces directly, you will discover a frightening secret. I go quiet, unable to understand it. Now it seems anyone who wrote it was making fun of me. What does it say? Mary tilts her head as she stares at me with curiosity, noticing I had been quiet for too long. I swallow, feeling my saliva bitter. The seconds pass without an answer as I stare at the note absent-minded. Then suddenly I smile. I can't read it. It's too dirty. I see. Mary blinks and then looks away, forgetting about it. I said alive, but I doubt it would do her any good reading it. I read it one last time before leaving it right where I found it. Then I walk back to Mary, but with every step I take, I think again, what could that secret be? Gary? Yes, suddenly. What's the matter? I see her blink as she stares at me with curiosity. I shake my head to clear my mind, and then make a small smile. Nothing. I was just lost in my thoughts. After saying that, I hold her hand. Come on, we should keep moving. Yes. Was her simple answer, looking more relaxed now that we had a few minutes inside the cave without finding any danger? I'm glad to see that, but at the same time I worry about what happened with the wolves. Ooh. Anyway, without saying a word, we continue moving. Ooh, I'm kind of starting to feel the hair stand up. As we get deeper, the air becomes colder, and the traces of life even less common until they disappear completely. There are no more bones or tracks anywhere, not even moss. I suddenly stop and turn to see Mary. Strangely, she didn't seem uneasy, not even bored. As if holding my hand was all she wanted to do. Mary, are you sure that crossing this cave you can escape the forest? Yes, I'm sure. I read it in one of those notes long ago. She explained before lowering her sigh and holding tight her plush sheet. But I've never been here before. I didn't imagine it would be a maze. I understand. It's not like we're going wrong. It's just a path that's much harder than we expected. I let out a sigh in frustration, taking a couple of seconds to rest before moving on. Then we suddenly find a fork in the path. In front of my eyes, I see 3 different possibilities. From each of them comes out cold and moist air. I light them with the lamp, only to discover they extend deeper than the light can reveal. They seem to go on forever, taking us deep underground. My heart almost stops beating before the idea that we will be walking forever inside the cave. Nervous, I look back. The entrance is too far to be seen, but I have a sensation that even if I go back, I wouldn't be able to find it. I sigh, closing my eyes for a moment in a gesture full of frustration. Here's another one of those notes. Open my eyes when I hear Mary's voice, seeing her cross to pick up a new sheet of paper. Truth is, I have no desire to read what it says. I don't expect anything good. There is no right way, just moving forward. Shed reading the message. My face goes pale with surprise. Mary turns to me and nods. That's what it said. Then she walks to me and offers me the paper. Not wasting time, I read it. There is no right way, just moving forward. You're right. Was the only thing I could come up with. Do you think it's a clue? After saying that, Mary looks up to my eyes. Then she tilts her head and blinks with curiosity as she awaits for my answer. Yes, it seems so. I scratch my head confused, then I turn my sight to our options with a more serious look. Which path should I take? Yeah. No right. There is no right way. Well, Let's try center. I say so. We walk in silence across the narrow passage, holding hands to avoid getting separated. We keep moving on a straight line for an unknown time. I don't know if it were a few minutes or a couple of hours. It felt as if I was sleepwalking, oblivious of the passage of time. It could well be eternal. I've been walking for years without end. I don't come back to my senses until we reach a big open space inside the cave. I'm surprised, or rather astonished, seeing 3 new paths opening before us. It's like the other time, Mary murmured. Quickly, the surprise vanishes, leaving in its place a heavy frustration. It isn't a coincidence, right? Of course not. It's impossible it is. Which way should we go now? I don't know. I said, thinking she was too calm for how complicated our situation was. I guess she is just unable to understand it. Once again, we walk holding hands across the path so narrow we can barely move through it. We haven't found any new traces of life. Now we should be so deep nothing can survive here. Can't hear any sound. The only one there is would be our footsteps, but after hearing it for so long, my brain learned to ignore them, so it is the same as being in complete silence. However, the weirdest part is that even after such a long walk, I don't feel tired in the least. I'm not sleepy, hungry, or thirsty. I could perfectly keep walking without a rest. I don't know what's going on, but I think it's better not to think about it. I'm afraid the answer could do me more hurt than well. Finally, I see how the way opens, leading to a bigger chamber inside the cave. At the end, what I see shakes my very core. I'm so shocked I almost dropped the lamp, letting it fall and break in pieces, and abandon us in the darkness. Maybe if I didn't see it, I could keep my sanity. Once more, the path divides in three narrow choices, just like the ones before and the one before that. Are we walking in circles? Mary asked, confused, looking at the different paths before looking up to my pale face. I hold her hand tightly, not to give her strength, but for not falling apart in that very moment. That's what it looks like. Maybe we are picking up the wrong path, I said, faking calmness. Is there some kind of code to cross the cave? I can't tell. But it seems like we will have to empty our choices, or else we won't be able to move forward, no matter how long it takes. Let's try left. I can't drop the sensation of deja vu. I know I've done it before, however it doesn't seem like I have done it 2 or 3 times, but hundreds, even thousands. I could turn off the lamp and keep on walking just from my memories, and I wouldn't trip, not even once. Maybe it's a lie, but that's how I feel. Trapped forever, repeating the same over and over again without a reason. I take a deep breath, not knowing what to do. By now it seems I was only moving by inertia. An invisible force was pushing me, an unconscious action, without any thoughts of reason behind it. Should we go back? Mary's voice makes me stop. I turn to her, finding a pair of eyes that look at me with curiosity, blinking a couple of times. I snort as I think about it for an instant. I hate the idea of going back and losing all the progress we have made. But without a doubt, I can't stay in here any longer. I think I'm losing my mind. Yes, we should go back, Mary, I said kindly with a sweet and fake smile. Definitely we made the wrong choices. We can't yet discard the idea that crossing this cave we can escape the forest. But by now I don't care anymore. I only want to go back to the cabin and forget it. I sigh before turning around and starting to walk back. However, it wouldn't take long for me to stop again. No. Suddenly I hear a howl, so loud and close that my blood turns to ice. I go pale, knowing what it meant. Mary exclaimed, frightened, hugging me close. There's a wolf nearby. I take a deep breath, feeling my heart race. I open my mouth to say something before pronouncing a single word. I see a wolf appear right before us. Idiot, said the wolf with a groan, showing us later its fangs. Its eyes shine, reflecting the light of the lamp, just like its fangs. Slowly I walk back, being pushed by the image of the wolf. My heart beat so loud, I felt it was going to come out from my chest. I don't know what to do. There's no place to escape, and fighting sounds like the worst possible thing. The only thing left for me is to continue walking back, always showing my face as the wolf that follows me closely, waiting for distraction or slip to eat me. Mary sobs behind my back. She is dead scared, and with good reason. I feel so helpless I want to scream, or even fall on my knees and cry. It's so unfair, but that wouldn't help at all. Or maybe. At that moment, there was a spark in my brain. I had forgotten. I had a plan, right? That was just what I had to do. Scream from the bottom of my soul. Idiot! I then yelled, emptying all the air from my lungs. It's so loud it makes an echo across the whole cave. I even feel it tremble for an instant. The wolf exclaims, surprised, taking a step back. Seeing that brightens my face and heart. I don't know what happened. If it understood me or it was just a sound, but it seems to have an effect in it. And then when I was getting ready to do it again, oh, what's happening? Suddenly I feel how Mary lets go of me and runs away. She seemed to be crying. At that moment, I feel an intense cold cover my body. I don't know what happened. But it seems the wolf wasn't the only one scared by my yell. Mary! I yelled at the same time I run behind her. I couldn't leave her alone, even less in such a dangerous place. In any case, even if I tried to escape, the wolf was blocking the way. It's too narrow to avoid it. I keep on running until I see Mary's shape at the distance. Mary? I said, ignoring how she got so far in the darkness. Once again, there was an open space in the cave. Soon the pattern repeats itself without an end. She is standing still, hugging her sheep fleshy tightly. There's something terribly wrong with that image. I can't explain what, but it makes me uncomfortable. When I get close to her, I don't know if I should scold her or just be thankful she is alright. So like a fool, I just stay quiet. Imbecile, idiots, worthless, pathetic. I move the lamp to lighten what there is in front of us. There's no need for me to say it. A group of wolves stares deep at us, with all the intentions of wanting to attack us. My very core shakes at that moment. I'm paralyzed. My mind can't think. Nothing except that it is my end. Trash. Stinky. Ridiculous. Once again, the wolves made fun of us. They seem to understand our disgrace. It is then that I realize something. As impossible as it sounds, all this seems too familiar. My body finally reacts, raising my head to see at the wolves. They stare back at me with glowing eyes full of hate. It is then that I remember what the message said. A frightful secret. My lips murmured. I feel curious, but at the same time this is a very dire situation. I shouldn't take such a risk. What should I do? I don't know why, but against all reason I feel that escaping is not the right choice. In silence I remember what the note said. I can't believe it's true, but at the same time I can't ignore it. It's so simple, almost a trap. If you say something like, "Don't go there because it is a secret," you will end up with more curiosity. Honestly, I believe that was the intention of whoever wrote it. Now, if he did it out of malice or to help me is something I can't know until I try it. Trash. Throws one of the wolves before getting closer to us with the jump, falling right in front of us. My heart skips a beat in fear. My instincts beg me to do something, anything, but I don't hear them. Instead, I fix my sight on them. I observe the wolf's eyes. His pupils are round and it has a look full of arrogance. Gary? Mary exclaimed, frightened. At the same time, she hugs me. However, I don't let that distract me. I keep on looking at the beast's eyes without even blinking. What am I trying to find there? What do I expect to find? I ask myself that while losing myself into its eyes. Until finally something moves inside of me, shaking my very core. It wasn't fear. It was more as if all the pieces of a puzzle had suddenly put themselves in their place. That look is familiar to me. It's all the words they say. At some moment, I had seen and hear them before, only not from a wolf. Yes, it's all clear now. Idiot. The wolf groaned furiously before hearing what sounded like laughter from the others. I'm surprised at how little I care at that moment. What made me tremble in terror just a few seconds back now is so irrelevant, like a stone in the way. Their eyes tell me the truth of these talking wolves. Without thinking, I slowly take the lamp and increase the intensity of the light. The wolves shriek confused and the closer one takes a step back. Gary? Mary calls my name confused. She has tears in her eyes along with a fragile look. Seeing her like that melts my heart. Yes, now it's clear to me how to exit the forest. There is no right way, but there also aren't any wrong ones. You only have to move on. I tenderly pet her head and smile. Come on, let's get out of here. I said, perfectly calm at the same time I offer her my hand. She looks at me surprised, with her eyes wide open, as if I had said something impossible. To her, it most seemed like it. But to say the truth, it is very simple. What about the wolves? She asked, trembling. It's fine. Just ignore them. They can't do anything if you are not afraid of them. It's simply unbelievable the calmness in which I say that. She looks at me full of doubts before finally giving me her hand, which I kindly hold. Without saying a word, I start to walk, with my eyes looking forward. The wolves groan, howl, say many words which don't mean anything to me. I don't even look at them. I forget them completely while slowly walking, with the lamp at the highest intensity and without bothering to hide my steps. Mary closes her eyes, frightened. She holds my hands tightly while hugging her plushie. She is expecting them to attack us at any second. The next one, or the one after it. And yet time kept on going without that moment to ever come. The wolves strangely take too long to react. Even Mary opens her eyes confused. I know the answer. They are not wolves. Their appearance is that of a beast, but their inside is different. It's something I know along with many other people. Why are they not doing anything? Mary said, confused, looking up at my face. I blinked before calmly speaking. They're already doing it. This is all they can do. Ah. She exclaimed, confused at the same time she turns her head to see them, trying to understand what I meant. I gently smiled as I prepared to explain her. Do you hear them? They are making fun of us. But they can't do anything beyond that. That is all. Mary blinked in confusion. The change was too sudden. Basically, I had put her world upside down. Gently, I pet her head, giving her a moment to think about it. Mary, the wolves are very noisy. But they can't hurt you if you don't let their words affect you. Just ignore them and you will be safe. After saying that, I turned my sight forward. Now with the light at its highest intensity, I think I can see a path at the distance. I'm sure that's the exit. They block our way, but if you ignore them and keep on going, you will get out without problems. Don't be afraid. That's it? Mary stares at me, surprised. Her eyes seem to shine just from looking at me, as if I was someone amazing. At this moment, I should look like it. That's it. Come on. Don't pay them attention. I said, soon leaving the woods behind. Who being so pathetic don't even follow us. The words only hurt when you allow them to do so. That's why if you ignore them, they become completely inoffensive. And as we walk, I realize I was right. I can see sunlight entering the cave. We must be very close. I can't hide my excitement rushing my steps. We're almost there, Mary. I said, overflowing with joy, to what she answered with a nod and a big smile. And then finally we managed to cross the exit. I opened my eyes, surprised, feeling a gentle wind caress my face. We're just gonna save real quick. I'm gonna take a break and be back in a few minutes and we'll continue on. Okay, I am back. We're gonna. You just saved. We're gonna continue on. Before my eyes, there's a green meadow under the sun, so different from the haunted forest of before. And at the distance, I think I can see a village. We are out! Exclaimed Mary, excited before suddenly hugging me with all of her affection. I can't help but blush. My heart stops for an instant from the surprise, only to later beat full of a warm love. Yes, we are out, murmured my lips full of pride. By just seeing it, I can be sure this is a better place for her. Here she won't have to live alone, hiding in the darkness. She won't have to avoid making noise or calling the attention. How did you know? She looks up to my eyes, staring at me with curiosity. I scratch my cheek shyly. I just realized their intentions. Maybe it was a poor answer, but it was enough. Even without understanding it completely, Mary seemed pleased. She breaks the hug and takes a few steps towards the village at the distance. Do you think I'll be better there than in the cabin? Yes, I'm sure of it. Don't be shy and keep going. It would be very bad to stop after coming so far. Mary goes quiet for a moment. I see how the wind moves her hair, she thinks, being the only sound heard. Then she turns around, looking right into my eyes. Thank you so much, she said, giving me a radiant smile. So beautiful. I feel grateful, however, it only lasts for an instant. Enough time to be recorded in my mind before it disappears. Suddenly everything became blurry. I lose sight of what is in front of me, seeing it quickly transform into something else. It happened almost as fast as a blink. Oh, an achievement unlocked. Dream 1? This is now a very old story that maybe is not even worth telling. Long ago, there used to be a place in the mountains, apart from the noise and people, where children could live in peace. They were all unfortunate children, some more than others, but all without exception had been abandoned. In their hearts there was hole, but sometimes some of them were able to close it, but for others it was impossible. No matter how many days passed or how many friends they made, the hole didn't heal. Do you know what hopelessness is? How would you describe it? That feeling made them company at all time in their life. Fear, insecurity, disgust, sadness. No matter how kind were others, their feelings couldn't reach them. It was impossible for them to believe that something good would happen in their lives. They had given up, and that's why they hid inside themselves, accepting the solitude which comforted them. Once you convince yourself it is impossible to win, it's easier to accept it. If you're alone, it's only because you were born to be it. As simple as that. No need to hate it, just accept it as what you are, as what you will always be. But there is no way a child can be happy like that. No human wants to be completely alone. It's something so pitiful. That's why when the calamity happened, their souls were unable to obtain in peace. While their companions ascended around them, creating a beautiful scene, they were still down. They were left behind for a second time. Thinking about that created a crack in their hearts, but it wasn't going to stay like that. Somebody else found them, and surrounded by light and heat, hugged them between the ash. A hug like no other they could remember. That was the first honest hug they could feel, being nothing to hide their souls. Please, I need your help. In exchange, I'll help you back. Hmm? Suddenly, I wake up in a completely different place, as if everything had been just a dream. I find myself laying in a bigger bed than those I saw before, adult-sized. It's also very comfortable, and the only one in the room. I rub my eyes and then yawn, feeling terribly tired. Then look around, realize I haven't been here before. What is this place? I remember confused. It was definitely not a child's room. There isn't a single toy in sight, and everything is in complete order, as if it were wanted to serve as an example. Actually, there are a few things here beyond the television. A wardrobe and a dressing table with a mirror. In the last one, I can see some cosmetics, beauty products without use, waiting restlessly for the day someone will need them. Of course, I wouldn't be that person, but at least they give me a clue of whom this room belonged to. It belongs to an adult woman, I estimate about 40 years old from the clothes. It must be who took care of this place and the children. When I blink, there's something other than makeup in the dressing table. With curiosity, I move closer and pick up what seems to be a presentation card. On it, there's a name written, Hearts Orphanage. It must be the name of this place. I murmur to myself, unable to look away from those letters. I read it many times as if looking for a hidden message. I don't know why, but it sounds strangely familiar. Then I sigh and put the card where I found it. I should keep moving. I unlock the door and then return to the same hallway I walked before. Once again, I'm in the second floor, near the dormitory where I woke up the first time. By pure curiosity, I try to open the third door with no results, which leaves me with only one option, going down to the living room again. Once I do it, I notice there is a new door open there, as if inviting me to enter. I blink while looking at it in silence for a couple seconds before deciding to go in. I had put so much intention on the strange doors that I forgot to explore the other rooms, but I guess most would be locked. I turn on the lights to instantly reveal bookshelves full to the top. Most of them are small and have quite colorful covers, so I immediately realize they are children's books. I walk towards one of the bookshelves and take one of them. It's The Sleeping Beauty. Without hesitation, I open the book, seeing that it is full of large pictures with just a few lines of text. All other pages are like that, and it would not surprise me if the other books are equal. When I was little, I don't remember reading. When I was little, I don't remember reading much. I don't have I don't have many memories of my early years, but I know I was the kind of child who enjoys climbing trees and catching insects more than reading. However, I do remember that someone read to me when I was in bed. I guess my mother or teacher. It was a long time ago, and my memories are fuzzy. I put the book back where I found it and give another look around. I guess the reason this room is locked is because children do not take good care of the books. And it also helps to have some control over when they can read them. I exclaimed, confused, seeing there is a book that protrudes slightly from others, as if someone had just read it and put it back in place carefully. It has a thicker cover than the others, and significantly more pages. The Meaning of Dreams. I read the title loud. This is not a children's book, but one for adults. I opened the book without knowing what to look for exactly. However, the answer is easier to find than I expected. Someone wrote a message on the first page. Meaning of Dreams. When you dream, all places and people you see come from your memory. You might dream with people you have never seen before, like dreaming you are part of the Knights of the Round Table. But the faces Knight Arthur and the knights will have come from known people. That's how the subconscious works. So if you believe you have never seen something, you must have simply forgotten. Or maybe it's true you have never seen it before, and you are inside someone else's. Which one of the two you like the better, Gary? Alice. That name makes an echo inside my mind. Just yesterday, that name had no meaning to me. Now is the answer to the biggest mystery of my life. Who is Alice, and what are her intentions? It is impossible for me to know unless I keep exploring. I look through the pages searching for something else, and then find that in the index there was a chapter marked with a circle, Lucid Dreams. Without hesitation, I go for that page. However, there wasn't much to read. With the exception of the title, all other words have been crossed with black marker, making it impossible to read them. Below them, there was a message. It's not fun if you have all the answers. I can't do more than sigh. I feel frustrated of having my curiosity itched only to leave it unfulfilled. But well, I guess I can't do anything about it. I put the book back into its place and then leave the room. There was nothing else of interest in that place. The doors await for me in silence. At that moment I blinked, confused, seeing how the door I opened before was now blocked by a nail. It's impossible to go back there, even though I didn't have any desire to do so. However, that's not the only thing that calls my attention. Broken? I sit talking quietly as I pick up a piece of metal lying on the ground. One of the padlocks that were blocking the fourth door had broken. Now there were two more left and two more doors. It is clear what I have to do. I take a deep breath and stare at the door, and stare at the doors. Which one should I open now? Ooh, well, let's see. Let's save. Check something. We got through one door. Maybe I'd say maybe that's good enough progress for the day. Hmm. Yeah, I think that's good progress today. So, I think we're gonna call it a day on this one for today. I'm I'm quite interested in playing more of this. I it is I find it interesting. I would definitely like to play more of it. And I will. I'll definitely play it till the end. I think I'll do more tomorrow. I think we'll go through the one of the doors tomorrow, and however long it takes, and then we'll see. Maybe do I don't know how many days. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. We go through a door, one door a day, or next stream go through 2 doors, and then we'll just have to see. Now I'm gonna find somebody to raid. So let's see. We got who we got. We're gonna raid our buddy Drac Tactic. Play more Bloodborne. Yeah, let's for anybody who tuned in today, thank you, and we'll be back with more of this tomorrow. I don't know if we'll finish it tomorrow, but if we don't finish it by tomorrow, then maybe by Wednesday. But once again, thank you all. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow with more Connected Hearts, which I am digging. I'm enjoying this. It's very very intriguing so far. I want to see the rest of the story. I've never played this before, so it's it's fun. It's fun to play a game you never played before, and one that's a little bit more newer than something that's not retro. Spice things up a little bit. So we're gonna raid wreck. Have a good day.